Welcome to the 5-Point Streetscape and Safety Study October 2022 Public Engagement Workshop. This is the first public meeting as part of a study that will advance safety and streetscape improvements for the 5 Points neighborhood. At tonight's public meeting, the project team will provide background about the study, an update on the analysis being completed, an overview of the process being followed, an opportunity to review concepts for potential changes, and multiple opportunities to provide feedback and insight. Tonight's meeting will be an open house style meeting where we ask participants to walk through 4 different stations to better understand the project and provide feedback. We chose this approach to maximize the opportunity for residents and stakeholders to interact with the project team. As area residents and stakeholders, you understand the safety concerns and difficulty navigating the intersection of Glenwood Avenue, Whitaker Mill Road, Fairview Road, and Glen Avenue. This intersection is confusing for drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists. And as many of you also know, there is a long history of crashes where cars have collided with restaurant seating, the churchyard, parked cars, and private residential property. The City of Raleigh has initiated this study to address 3 specific concerns: safety of the 5 Points intersections, improve streetscape in the immediate 5 Points area, and connecting 5 Points to the Crabtree Creek Greenway Trail. Initial efforts have focused on identifying and attempting to address specific safety concerns. This will be the focus of tonight's meeting. In future public meetings, we will address these other important issues. To initiate the study process, the City held a listening session in April to introduce the project and document public concerns about transportation and safety in the 5 Points area. The City also developed a project website and sent out an online survey to support public engagement and maximize feedback. The consultant team began work collecting data and meeting with stakeholders. The team has also met with NCDOT to understand their concerns and discuss how safety can be improved in a manner that supports the unique character of 5 Points. Over the summer, the team has completed initial analysis to better understand how the network functions and to identify specific concerns that should be addressed in the study. As part of this effort, we have also met with a variety of stakeholders and groups to better understand how folks would like to see 5 Points improved and to understand potential concerns with the changes that may bring. At the April listening session and in subsequent discussions with stakeholders, a variety of concerns were raised. Traffic speeding and safety stood out as 2 of the major public concerns in 5 Points. There have been a series of high-profile runoff road crashes from Glenwood Avenue, a few of which have resulted in damage to adjacent properties. In addition, it was noted that there is confusion on how to use the intersection. The movements from Whitaker Mill on the east and Fairview on the west are allowed at the same time. However, drivers often do not know when they should yield to crossing traffic. Specifically, left-turning Whitaker Mill traffic to Glenwood should yield to Fairview traffic, but this often does not happen. In addition, left turns from Glenwood are confusing as they can end on 2 different streets: Fairview or Glen traveling northbound, or Whitaker Mill or Fairview traveling southbound. Sidewalks and crosswalks are provided at the 5 Points intersection and along Glenwood Avenue, but speeding, long crossings, and driver confusion have created an uncomfortable environment for people crossing the intersection or walking along Glenwood Avenue. Many people noted that they were scared to walk across or along Glenwood. Local business owners and customers have noted that on-street parking is limited in the area and have also identified the need for a better and more usable streetscape. The team reviewed crash data to understand crash patterns and identify trends. A total of 143 crashes were reported at the 5 Points intersection over the past 5 years. This is the highest crash location on Glenwood between I-440 and Wade Avenue. Crashes also tend to be more severe than the average for Wake County, with 22% of crashes resulting in a reported injury, including 1 fatal crash and 2 serious injuries. Many of the crashes occurred when vehicles on Glenwood Avenue lost control and departed from the roadway, as happened recently at Hayes Barton Baptist Church. Another predominant crash type included crashes between left-turning vehicles and oncoming traffic on Glenwood Avenue. Speed data on Glenwood Avenue at a point just north of White Oak Road has been evaluated. In this portion of Glenwood Avenue, the speed limit is 35 miles per hour. 1 in 6 northbound vehicles was observed traveling more than 10 miles per hour above the speed limit, and approximately 1 in 30 northbound vehicles was recorded traveling 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. At these speeds, traversing a vibrant urban neighborhood, crashes can be dramatic, leading to serious injury, major property damage, and even death. Speeding was also observed for southbound vehicles, but speeds were higher in the northbound direction. The team reviewed the traffic conditions at the intersection to understand travel patterns and vehicle delay. In general, there is little vehicle delay, even during peak periods, with the exception of westbound Whitaker Mill Road. Westbound Whitaker Mill experiences higher delay during peak hours, which encourages some drivers to take Scales Street to bypass the intersection. There can sometimes be delay on Glenwood Avenue, particularly when on-street parking and loading is allowed after the peak periods, due to delivery trucks loading and unloading. In addition to reviewing traffic conditions, the team reviewed the walking conditions at the 5 Points intersection. Crossings are long, at an angle, and unprotected by pedestrian refuges. It can also be difficult to determine how to best cross the intersection due to there being 6 legs. Pedestrians often have limited sight of approaching vehicles on the north leg of Glenwood due to the curve that starts in the intersection, as well as the slight change in elevation to the north. Pedestrians crossing the south leg of Glenwood receive the walk signal at the same time that traffic turns right from Fairview or left from Whitaker Mill. Drivers making these turns onto Glenwood must look for oncoming traffic as well as pedestrians. In addition, pedestrians who walk along Glenwood are not buffered from high-speed traffic, creating a generally uncomfortable environment for walking. The 5 Points intersection has no specific treatments to guide or provide space for bicyclists traversing the intersection. There are no bike lanes, no paths, nor any signage to provide direction or protection to bicyclists. The width and complex geometry of the intersection creates a challenge for cyclists to navigate. While cyclists have been observed utilizing Fairview Avenue and Whitaker Mill Road to travel across Glenwood Avenue, bicyclists tend to avoid the area. 2 Go Raleigh bus routes currently operate through the 5 Points intersection, providing service every 30 minutes to stops along Glenwood Avenue and Whitaker Mill Road. There is a bus shelter on Glenwood Avenue just south of the 5 Points intersection in the southbound direction. However, most stops do not have a shelter, and some stops require riders to walk across grass strips, sometimes on a slope, creating barriers to using transit for the elderly or mobility impaired. These issues, combined with the previously noted pedestrian crossing issues, make accessing transit very difficult. Go Raleigh is working to implement Glenwood Avenue frequent service in the near future, funded by the Wake Transit Plan. The team identified the on-street parking spaces within 1/4 mile of the 5 Points intersection. The team evaluated how full those spaces were over a series of 3 days that included a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We found that there is an ample supply of parking even during peak periods. However, that parking is not always immediately adjacent to businesses in 5 Points. Not surprisingly, the highest demand for on-street parking was observed on Fairview Road west of the intersection and on southbound Glenwood Avenue north of the intersection. After today's meeting, we will use your feedback to identify the most promising intersection improvements, eliminate some of the concepts from consideration, and then evaluate the remaining concepts in more detail. For the concepts that are advanced to the next stage, the project team will assess them in detail for multimodal operations and safety, and then re-engage the public and stakeholders to discuss the analysis and consider the trade-offs that will need to be made. At the same time, we will develop streetscape concepts that will improve the sidewalk and tree planting area, as well as concepts that will connect 5 Points to the Crabtree Creek Greenway. With these complete, the project team will re-engage the public in the winter of 2022 to 2023. As you leave the area where you are watching this presentation, you will be invited to move through the next 3 stations at this open house and interact with project staff. Station 2 will provide an opportunity to review the existing conditions analysis in more detail and note any concerns or themes that we may have missed. In addition, you will be asked to identify the highest priority transportation challenges that should be addressed. Station 3 presents renderings of various concepts to improve the 5 Points intersection. You will be able to talk with staff about the concepts to better understand how each concept could improve conditions in the neighborhood. And Station 4 will be a place for you to follow up with any questions for our team. Station 4 will also show you where you can take a survey on the project website to leave your detailed feedback on the concepts for improving the 5 Points intersection. If you arrived in the middle of this presentation, don't worry, we will restart the presentation momentarily so that you can hear it in its entirety.